Lewis just killed him.
Sh- Right, hello and welcome to an exclusive interview with our president, who was newly inaugurated just a few hours ago, although he was notably the president beforehand. So, hello, Cillian.
Hello, Dan. Thank you for having me in the studio.
Well, thank you for turning up. Well, I suppose we just get straight into it. And how do you feel about becoming president for a second term? Do you think it was expected? I must assume you're happy about it. But yeah, please tell us.
Well, I want to start by thanking everyone who came to the inauguration today. That was a fantastic event. It was nice. We had good turnout, notably better than my first term, so I must be doing something right, hopefully. But no, I this wasn't a role. I think people forget sometimes this wasn't a role I ever imagined myself going into. I People who knew me prior to this role, I'm not a ceremonial person. I never was. I was always political. I was always ambitious. And those aren't characteristics that suit the Oris. But as times change, so do people. I like to think, and remarkably, it became a calling. And to serve twice consecutively it is an absolute privilege. Um, and to serve the nation in a capacity like this it's an honor.
Well, I mean, I want to quickly ask. In America, obviously, we have Donald Trump who's been elected for a second term, and there are talks of tabling a bill to make a third term or an amendment to the Constitution. How do you feel about getting your TDs to amend the Constitution to run for a third term?
Well, um, that is certainly an interesting idea. I don't think it applies to Ireland. We don't typically have see the offices are obviously different. It goes without saying that the president in Ireland is a very different office to the president in the United States. The needs and prerequisites for that office are hugely different. They're widely difficult to compare, but I think that is why we don't really require such longevity in Ireland. Obviously, our terms are long. The presidential term is 7 months long, so by the end of this second one, I should be in office for 14 months. But no, I don't see I don't see a need or a desire to amend that one. I don't think people want me for a third term. I don't think people want a president to be around that long. Um, because I think then it becomes a bit of a dangerous blur between personality and office, and I don't think that's what Ireland needs at the moment.
Well, I want to ask. It's been a very pressing question to quite a few members of our community about what on earth is happening behind those closed doors. We've been hearing about kettles and abuse from both sides. What on earth is happening behind in
The
the
president won't
president's
answer any
house?
questions on them. Thank you.
I was under the impression this was off limits, but I guess RT just do anything nowadays. Wow. But
Will complain.
will be making a complaint. This is the last you'll see of me in this studio. But
We put
no,
that on the list of no-go areas. Thanks.
yeah, let's just say that, when Corbyn speaks out of turn, Corbyn gets disciplined out of turn.
Sorry, the president believes in capital punishment and the place of a man in society and the place of a woman. They have inherently different gender roles, and that is the president's point.
Right, I see. Well, I may have already lost my job halfway into this interview, but I suppose we march on. So, I'm just trying to think. You have been a pillar, I would say, in Ireland. You have maintained that role of, upholding the community, not only as Taoiseach, but also as president, as you are now. So, do you have any other plans on where you want to go after your term is over?
um, mm, when my term is over, God, well, I don't have many plans for my term is over. Initially, my plan is to literally roll over and die. I think my service for this community has reached its pinnacle. I don't wish to overstay my welcome. Um, and though I appreciate I have had a positive effect on the community, I think that can very quickly turn into the adverse of positive. It can become you can have a very negative effect if you try to instill your personality deeply onto other people. And that happens when you stay around for too long. That happens when your grip and influence on the group overstays its welcome, especially leaving the office like the presidency. So I don't really have any further ambitions in Ireland, we'll say, after my presidency.
Okay, well, I have a question, not actually directed for myself, but we already have people phoning in asking these questions. I have someone asking, on an episode of The Cillian Angle on Friday 14th July 2023, you reprimanded Din Hello 20 for not having a mind-controlling machine. Do you
That was on
still
the list. That was on the list.
Oh,
That
sorry,
was on the
sorry.
list.
Okay,
No go. No go.
Go
No
ahead.
go. No go.
Can we
How
get
did
the
you
cameras
find
off,
that?
please?
No.
Cameras off.
Continue.
Okay,
That was
okay,
that
cameras
was
down,
the back page.
Look, we need
Continue, no,
we need to
continue.
work through this. Right, okay, apologies. Well, he continues. Do you still believe that Dylan should have such a machine in possession? And if not, will he apologise to Dylan for those prior remarks?
If Dylan has a mind control machine, I will apologize and I will say, that was a fantastic foresight of his and mine, and that he's obviously worked through the problems we discussed. I'm going to be completely honest with you in that I have very little memory of reprimanding him for mind control advice. I have a vague memory of me getting angry that he doesn't have one, but no, I think I was right. I can't remember the last time I was wrong, so we'll go with that answer.
Right, lovely answer there from the president. So, you already gave us like a quick rundown on what you plan, well, your lack of plans for Ireland afterwards. So I'd like to ask two questions here because I believe they'd both be very short once compiled into an answer. Do you still think you'll be present in Ireland, like in general chat, just speaking with newer people or just with older people as well? And would you become Taoiseach again, or are you happy with what you did there?
Well, I will start with the second one. I'm not going to be Taoiseach again. You won't ever see me in Merrion Street in that role again. I doubt you'll ever see me as a minister or as a TD. Um, Dáil Éireann, it has a limit, and I'm. There have been Taoiseach, myself included, who have tried to come back after a long time, only to do not as well as they did in their heyday. I'm one of those people. Um, And although I did have a positive effect on doll politics, and by that I mean I raised the standard of questions and legislation, um, I wasn't exactly poised for governance in that respect. Politics in the doll, as people know, is very different to Orson Uachtaráin, and I really do believe that I can have a more positive impact guiding people, perhaps from a distance, rather than getting back into the rough and tumble of Dáil Éireann. Um, I don't think you'll see me much in general chat, and that is because I will probably end up moving on and having a life, and for that I can only profusely apologize. But I will certainly I won't be disappeared. I won't be, taken out back, shot dead yet. You can leave that for your future desires. I'm sure Oswald is a bit disappointed right now, but I that's not those aren't my plans yet. I will continue guiding new members, as I like to think I always have, um, as they navigate the rough and tumble of doll politics.
Well, it's an understatement to say I'm sad you maybe won't be having any impact anymore in general chat, but well, after your presidency. But I suppose we all must move on and get a life. Anywho, how has the presidency shaped your views on issues on Roblox and in real life in any way at all?
Wow, that is actually a great question, and quite open ended. So I'd like to take this in a nice direction. In terms of how it's shaped my Roblox thinking, it's made me realize that um, words matter. And actually, I'll layer that to both Roblox and to real life. Words do matter an awful lot. The sentiment you spread is hugely important, and I don't think you obviously don't realize that when you're the Taoiseach. And I fair play to you. I wouldn't. I'm a spin doctor myself. I would say I like that. I think messaging is important in politics and communications is important, but it's in the name, communication. Words, when you step away from politics, you you realize in a much bigger picture how important words are. And my favorite part of this office are my statements. I love writing statements because I highly doubt that, people rake through them and read them through. Jeremy does actually. Jeremy reads through them and he rates them. He gives them a junior cert grade. But I think that's my favorite part of the office, being able to give a message, typically a positive one or a cautionary tale in a statement. And I didn't appreciate that before being president. I was a very different person before I became president. And, you know, I had to change my personality and my outlook on politics very quickly in a very brief period of time. And that was surprisingly easy because I think it's insightful when you step into a role like this. You do realize that words matter, that sentiment matters so much. And that's often why you will see me in general chat telling people to just stop being nasty. And usually that person is Corbyn, by the way. For some reason, it happens to be the first lady where I have to tell her to stop being nasty. But it's true. Words matter a lot. And I couldn't say that without giving credit to Kamala, who always says that words matter. But yeah, that's something the presidency has, one of the many, many things the presidency has taught me.
Well, the famous Cahirlock, Victoria Cullen, she is well known for keeping her toaster in a cabinet. Where do you keep your toaster, Mr. President?
I have to say that since birth, my toaster has been beside my kettle out on the counter. I have never, unfortunately, sorry to all my Protestant friends, I've never had my kettle, never had my kettle, never had my toaster inside a cabinet. I don't know anyone. I have never met a person who keeps it inside their cabinet. And I don't know why you would do that, because would you not just plug it in and leave it there? If you put it in your cabinet, you have to take it out and plug it back in. And that seems a bit difficult to me.
Well, I would like to ask, with Corbyn, is this is this an I can fix you project?
That
I know those aren't your words, Dan. I know those aren't your.
No, I writ this out myself. Because I heard your words. I heard your words about Corbyn, and I was like,
Corbyn is. I actually, I don't think people realize this. Ireland has a history of women being put into the shadows, and I mean this. I know it sounds dramatic, but it's very true. Like, people used to think Connor would viciously discipline Lynette and keep her in check. It was very much often the other way around. It was very much Connor being, on the teething on the edge of mental instability, and Lynn telling him, get back into your box. It's often the same with Corbyn. Corbyn is, despite, her negligent rants in general chat, is a very grounded human being who takes her meds, and I'm not always that person. So I think it's the other way around. I think Corbyn is trying to fix me, and she's assisted, of course, by the real presidents, Dave and William and Lewis and Oscar, and the list goes on.
right. Well, I've had a very interesting question put forward here. As president, what do you recommend to everyone to use as their toothpaste? Oral-B, Sensodyne, or Colgate?
I have. Oh, that's a good one. Well, immediately I'm crossing Sensodyne off the list. I have used it before, and they have many strange claims about it that don't work. They don't. I don't agree with Sensodyne.
I also have a question.
Go ahead.
What's your order from McDonald's?
Oh, well, first of all,
Sorry, was this on the paper?
I haven't ordered from McDonald's in, we'll say, 2 years now, 3 years.
Why?
Because of the boycott. So BDS, boycott, divestment, sanctions. McDonald's is unfortunately on the list, so I haven't ordered from McDonald's. And you thought you'd catch me out on that one, but I am woke, and you can't out-woke the wokester, okay?
Okay, what's your order from Taco Bell?
We don't have that here because we're not woke.
What's another fast food place?
KFC.
Yeah, what's your order from KFC?
I don't know if KFC is on the BDS list, so now I have been caught out.
Yeah, that shit's not real. Like, what's Israel? What's Gaza? Like, hey, bitch, give me a 10-piece meal. Like,
I love their popcorn chicken from KFC. I think it's great. And And KFC chips, well, you call them fries because you're a Yank, but KFC chips are
Ugh,
very good too. I'm a fan. But KFC
No.
overall is very
they're not
plain.
nice. They're
Huge,
horrible.
huge lack of flavor in KFC. So sorry for any
No,
KFC.
actually, sorry, but they tried putting seasoning on them and it just tastes worse. Like, take them
Yeah,
back.
put it away. Stop trying. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, I have a very serious question here. Like, I think this is very important for a lot of younger viewers out here, especially younger boys. BO or showering?
Next question.
Okay, we'll
I
move
think
on.
his answer is clear.
Not BO.
I
Oh
know.
my god,
Well,
I hate my life. I'm resigning. What do
how
you
long do
mean?
you
Okay,
how long?
now, okay, I have another question.
Oh my
What kind
god!
of deodorant? See, what kind of deodorant? Like, what brand do you wear?
Yeah, what brand deodorant do you wear?
Well, was that question asked to me or barked
Yeah.
down my throat? Like, I'm not sure. I
Fucking
I have a
Answer
variety.
the question.
the
I'm gonna
Wizard,
go with.
Wizard of Oz asked it to you.
Can you bear with me as I open my cabinet and we go through Cillian Clark's collection of deodorants? Okay.
You don't have
So,
deodorant.
Oh, and then what kind of cologne do you wear? Like do you wear like a cheap kind or like a good kind?
You're asking too many questions. Shut up. Let me answer one at a time. So,
I bet I'm not Lewis.
I just said the first three. We
Is
have.
this Lewis's boyfriend?
We have.
Yeah, kidding.
We have Nivea Men.
Make it hard.
Okay. We have Lynx and we have Ted Baker. So
Wait,
there
is
you
it
go.
Lynx
Those are
Africa?
the-
What the fuck does that mean?
It's Lynx. It's
Please
Lynx
stop with the
Gold.
sleepy voice, please.
It's
Wait,
Lynx Gold.
I have that one.
What?
I have that.
Lewis, go away. Lewis, stop. Someone move him.
Cillian,
to
I
you.
wear that as well.
Do you? It's a great
I
one.
do. Yeah.
What one?
My favorite is Ted Baker, so I use it sparingly.
Hold on. Well, let's move to some more serious questions here from another member from the audience there. What does the president believe the most important right outlined in the Constitution is?
Ooh, well,
Oh yeah,
it's
this
not,
is a great question.
it's not freedom of speech anyway. It's not freedom of speech because freedom of speech is often taken out of context and it's weaponized by people to defend their hate speech. So I think the freedom of speech clause needs to be lined out properly. But if we're
Hmm.
talking Roblox, the most important rights, God, maybe it is the freedom of speech one on Roblox because that's probably the one that's been brought up in court the most and used as a defense and as litigation. So maybe we'll go with that one. But the Constitution has been a very difficult. I'll call it a Bible, a very difficult Bible during my term. I've had to protect it more than probably any president before.
Donald.
Please stop. I've had to protect it more than any president before, and I haven't enjoyed that because I wanted my presidency to be a focus on the positives of Ireland, and that's what I focused on in my speech today, actually. But when my first term in office was certainly spent being drawn to the very boundaries of my office's power. It definitely challenged the presidency during my first term, which it wasn't ideal. But look, it's the challenge of the times, and you have to rise to meet it. So.
All right. Well, how has your no, oh my god. No, that's the wrong question. If you could tell your pre-presidential self anything, what would it be?
Oh, that it's not that big a deal. That you're either suited to the presidency or you're not, and if you're not, you can change to be, and it's very that simple. Like it's very black and white. And if you're not, then get over it. You have skills elsewhere, and if you can't handle that fact, just change yourself. Pre-president me was very I don't know. I was obviously ambitious. I was very political, and the whole words matter thing. I would be very, I would jump down people's throats. I would be very divisive, and that helps you in politics. But for the presidency, I don't think that's the right approach. So towards when my campaign, we'll call it, for to collect signatures started gaining traction, I realized that actually it's not that big a deal. I don't need to go full political machine if I'm becoming president. Be nice, be polite, have a nice sensitivity in your behavior and your speech, because at the end of the day, you're not running for Taoiseach. You're not running against an opponent who's trying to jump down your throat. You're just trying to prove your personality to the Irish people. And yeah,
All right. Um, how will you make this term different to your last and different to the terms of your predecessors? How will you leave your mark, basically?
Well, first of all, um I don't want to make my term different to my predecessors anymore, and that wasn't my original aim because you can leave your mark even when you're in uniform, even when you're in tow line with your predecessors, because they had a nice pattern of 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 sentiment, and unfortunately that wasn't the case. Like I said, my office was pushed to the boundaries at times, and it wasn't always visible to the public because I wouldn't outwardly express that in the in the Oris channel, but um so I suppose what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to make this term much more ordinary and quiet than my first. Unfortunately, that's hard because I can sometimes have a big personality and I like to accommodate as many people as possible. But that can't happen as much as it did. The presidency is universal, and although it should try its hardest to accommodate every individual, it should never step out of line or alienate others in order to accommodate that person. So I think I'm desiring a bit of normality in this term, and just a bit of positive sentiment. Moving away from the doom and gloom that constitutionality can sometimes offer.
All right. Well, we have a question regarding more political things, so I understand if you can't really give a response. Today, the Dáil and Seanad voted down the statute reform bill. It passed the Dáil, but was delayed by the Seanad for 2 weeks. The presidential Seanadori voted against the bill, on which the Supreme Court Justice and Oireachtas administrative expert Kamala P. Bisesso has worked on day and night. How does the president comment on this, as presidential Seanadori are usually expected to vote with the government?
Well, I I want to talk a bit about presidential Shanadori. I love That's probably one of the best parts of the job. I like having presidential Shanadori because it's having if you're a president who doesn't get along with TDs and Shanadori, I should say. And I'm not. Thank God I'm not one of them. But if you are, I can imagine the the consolation it is to have two Shanadori at your disposal in office. But I gave them the explicit instruction when I appointed both of them, and Jeremy and Emperor, who have been diligent Shanadori since appointing them, they have had good attendance, I'm pretty sure. So thank God for that. I gave them the one explicit instruction, and that was, well, two actually. One was a bit of an afterthought after horrible things happened. But I said, you need to go in there and you need to make things active. You can be divisive. You can, as long as you're divisive to everyone equally. And they took those instructions to heart. They did a fantastic job. And then I said, and learn when to pull back. Learn when to maybe lower the heat, make things a bit less intense. And I think we saw that today. One of my Shanadori stood for the position of Las Cahirlock. He, very fairly put himself forward. There was little debate and little tension, only with one particular Shanador. And I think that shows the exemplary service they provide and the instructions I have given them in Shanad and in Oireachtas Éireann. But in terms of that specific bill, I'm not going to comment on it and its ins and outs and what it does. If it's constitutional, I don't have a problem with it. It's not for me to say what is and isn't good unless it's seriously damaging. Um, and if my presidential Shanadori, who I will admit operate at quite the distance from me, I don't tell them what to do all the time. They have quite the independence in their work. If they didn't like the idea of the bill, they voted it down, and it's that simple. And I know often or not, you're going to see they vote together because they're quite close friends. So
that was a really good answer. That was Bill the Bus. Bill the Bus. I really like that answer. I thought that was.
do I?
Well, on another episode of the Cillian Angle, on Friday the 28th of July 2023, you brought up the fact that Tánaiste James Akerson had openly stated in the press conference that the president, Sequatic, is being impeached because the president intervenes too much in the judiciary. Do you believe your own intervention so far as the president has been justified contrary to that situation?
A very thought-provoking answer, and I want to whoever that was. I'm pretty sure it was William J. Perry because he's a fan of the Cillian Angle. Whoever that was, thank you so much because I'm glad you've taken such an interest in my office and what it does. The presidency can be quite boring. Um, I I'd have to ask for specifics. because I know for a fact, otherwise I wouldn't be here. I would have resigned. I have never overstepped my office's boundaries and powers. They've been tested all right. Believe me, I know full well, unfortunately, the difficulty I've experienced in testing those boundaries and having to use them.
Sorry, could
Statutes
someone
and
slock off?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Thank you.
sorry, right. No, I know full well the boundaries that have had to been pushed, but I've never overstepped them. I've never contravened the Constitution. I think most people know that. Um, and I stood by Sequatic as well in that situation because I know he had the same modus operandi, which was to operate within the bounds of the Constitution, and as intense as things get, never try to operate exterior to the Constitution. As a journalist at the time, for which I won many awards, by throwback to I think they were the IMTV awards, where I swept the awards. I got like 3 of them, so throwback. But anyway, as a journalist, I had a very, very aggressive policy where I would often try and corner my guests into a particular answer because that's what sells. And I was actually quite a long time hostile towards James Aitchison. We were very different politicians, but I'm sure if you went to him now, he wouldn't have the same opinion about me that he did about Sequatic. We've had long discussions together. He's now a member of the court. He's now someone who I admire quite a lot. I'm sure you could ask him yourself, and he would tell you that I operate within the bounds of the Constitution. I love it, and we love our judiciary.
Right, well, I'm being told that we have a caller phoning in. So, are they connected to the line or?
Hello.
Hello
Hi,
there.
hello,
Hi,
Tia.
Agatha.
This is
So,
Agatha
no,
from
no, where are you
Cork
calling from? Where are you calling from? Agatha, where are you calling from?
Cork.
Where are you
Cork.
calling from?
Cork, right.
Cork.
And what are you
You
calling
sound like a
Oh.
real. You sound like a real corker. That's
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hello, Tia. This is Agatha from Cork calling in. First, I want to congratulate the president on this special day. I'm curious what initiatives are planned to support young people, ensuring they have wonderful opportunities here at home. It is so important for our future, don't you think? Also, what kind of pie do you like? Thank you so much.
What kind of what do I like?
What kind of pie do you?
Car
Pie.
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 Bye.
Sorry, the Cork accent is sometimes very difficult.
I think you need better broadband now in Cork.
I think.
Where are
she's
you,
obviously
Ballincollig? You must be Ballincollig.
Right,
Like,
well.
calling from the coaching centre.
Lovely
Well,
question there.
Yeah, lovely question about young people and pie. First of all, I was about to curse. I really love apple pie. Just saying, and you know what? Speaking of Cork, the best pie
Oh,
in Ireland
good.
is from the best.
Sorry,
Can we disconnect?
Can we disconnect? Yeah.
Can we disconnect?
Get Agatha off.
The best pie is from Mitchelstown, County Cork. So praise be to Cork and their ability to make pies. Young people, I'm gonna ignore the question because it was obviously just an excuse to use a voice changer. But in terms of people who are just coming onto Roblox and entering road politics, there are resources, but they're very hard to find. And I think we're getting better at this, but things have gotten worse previously, where we're very geared towards the old politician and recycling the old politicians. And we don't often like to train and teach and raise and apprentice and foster the new politicians, the young generation. We don't like to tell them about our history. So if you can't
Trinity
find
College.
someone, Trinity College, if you can't find someone to foster yourself in a political and explorational sense, an imaginative sense, what I would advise you to do is look through the National Archives, get curious, and honestly push yourself, because road politics is never that hard. You think it's hard, you think your opponent is 3 steps ahead of you. They're not. They're just as confused and as scared of the news cycle as you are. So just make graphics and push forward until eventually you're in the right position at the right time and you've made your position more ideal. So, and if you're a young person looking for a job that isn't in politics, well, I would say there is plenty of room for error and trial and then success eventually. in that realm, whether it's in the IDF where positions are certainly open, probably need dusting. The Gardaí positions are certainly open there, and not just public services, but also maybe agencies. You can look there too. I
Right.
mean, you're needed
Cillian,
everywhere. Yeah.
can I just say
So I thought we disconnected this person.
a heartfelt thank you, because when I joined Ireland about 6 months ago now, wow, time flies.
Old.
You and Jesse took me under your wing, and
Stop.
that like the first
That's
day.
that's an interesting duo there.
The
That's
first
a
day,
very interesting duo.
yeah, and look where it got me. Taoiseach for like what 20
It
days.
makes so much sense though. It makes so
Best
much
20
sense.
days though, right, guys?
Yeah, best 20 days, golden age. Look, I revived the opposition. That was me. Anyways, you took the first day I was a TD, I became a clerk as well, and that shaped me as a person. I'm glad you're crying, because I am with you, and I just thank you. Grandma Miley got. Grazie.
Well, I'm going to get sentimental here, but I'm being honest. I'm not lying or manufacturing or romanticizing this. Neve is, I'm going to use Neve as a case study here, if you don't mind me, Neve. Neve is a very talented individual who is genuinely good, has a great understanding of politics, knows how to make graphics. I think people were a bit shocked actually at first when she made graphics and videos, because they were like, who is this person who just flung out of Lynette's School of Excellence and
Out
is
of
really
Jesse's
good at
cunt.
graphics? Oh, stop. And is all of a sudden really good at like that talent. Had we approached her with the same motivation, we'll say, with the same effort and gusto that Irish politicians typically do, we would have just said, "Can you attend sittings?" And she goes, "Yeah." And you go, "Okay, show up then." And then she misses one or two, and we sack her. That's not how the politicians that operated in 2020 did, and how they stayed on and how they became successful. It's about second chances. It's hugely about patience. I've been pushing for patience for a while, because that patience is why Neve became Taoiseach. That patience is why Neve was given leadership roles, and Neve is just one of probably millions of people out there who probably should be more willing to join Row Nations, and we should be more willing to accept them into those leadership roles. Leah is a great example. Leah did great work in RT, and people didn't like her for a while, but
Yeah,
in
she caught a
politics,
lot of traction. Very mean.
absolutely, things got controversial and heated. And to be fair to her, it was kind of wrong place, wrong time, because this was quite tense at the time. But now in the Dáil, oh my god, I couldn't be. And I don't care if this is partial. I'm impartial when it comes to party
Favorite
politics,
TD.
but I'm a partial when it comes to the Oireachtas, because I'm a member of the Oireachtas as president. Check the constitution, Placa T. Anyway, but
Gagged.
Leah is. I couldn't be prouder of. I can't believe that someone with the smarts like that hasn't been Taoiseach already. I mean, to genuinely stand up in the Dáil and speak about a topic that probably no one cares about, that I don't care too much about, because no one's doing anything about it. So until someone takes a turn and takes action on that, it's not going to be hot news, But what a fantastic move from Leah. And if the Green Party is listening, you need to give that person a leadership position, because Leah's here, brilliant. Leah, you are. I don't know if it's a talent, or if you've learned this, or if you've seen it in the media and you're replicating it now, but you have a good understanding of politics, and you should stay on that track and continue being vocal and continue being innovative. I mean, the walkout today, I don't approve of walkouts. I always think you should work within the infrastructure of politics, but it ultimately it served your purpose, didn't it? It gave you attention, it got you a platform on RT, and now people are talking about it, I guess. So, continue what you're doing, continue the craft. You're obviously quite good at it.
Well, it's quite deep and sentimental there.
Love you.
So I just thought.
What are your thoughts on that Jeremy guy? I hear he's quite the guy.
Can you imagine if I just refused to go on about Jeremy? Yeah, he's okay. Yeah,
I do have a question. This is it. I don't know, this is Stephanie. Okay, I do have a question. We're very recent thoughts on the fact that there is
Lewis?
Suspended for so long, and there was no Taoiseach. Okay, please, because you're fucking stupid, and this person is a stupid fucking cunt.
Oh my god.
Right.
Sorry,
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie.
Cillian Clark, I have a very important question for you. Have you ever played Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga?
What?
Ew.
Well, I want to talk about Jeremy actually briefly because I
Okay,
feel
go
bad.
ahead.
But also, I have actually
Sympathy.
played Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga, but I won't get into it because it made me feel bad feelings about Lego games. So
Oh,
we won't go there.
okay.
But Jeremy,
Hi.
where do I begin?
Oh, sorry, I'm not here.
Jeremy, I think Jeremy doesn't. But I think the Shannon is a great place for Jeremy because I think um he isn't a party politician. He was a
No.
minister, I think, in 2021. Not a very good one, probably, because he did his job too
Not
well.
with target.
He wasn't nasty enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a nasty streak, but you don't even use it for politics. You just use it to call me overweight. And I
He
mean, is
uses
that a
it
good
to shout
use?
at me he uses it to
Is that
shout at me in the Trinity GC.
Yeah, literally, that's not a good use of resources. You have an eye for detail. You have knowledge. You are a resident of Ireland. You can speak Irish to a good degree, and I think you should use those resources well. And I think you need to continue your work in the Shannon. The Shannon is the perfect chamber for you because you can call yourself independent. You can work on legislation. And again, the judiciary is a great place for you. It's not political, it's apolitical. It relies on your skills solely. And perhaps most importantly, I think Jeremy O'Mara, if you fix your avatar a bit more and stop having grey hair, question mark, maybe fix your I
No.
don't like Roblox face. If you basically just brand yourself a bit better, I think we're looking at a future Uachtar on the Heron.
Leave the BAF.
Oh, well, that too, I guess.
No, not I guess.
Well, that raises an
Well,
interest. Oh,
thankfully, I don't take advice from idiots younger than me. So
well,
Did I say
just
future
forget
Uachtar
all of
Heron?
that.
I meant future brothel house
Withdraw,
worker.
withdraw,
Sorry about that.
withdraw.
well,
No,
go on,
with
Jeremy.
the
Future
British
current.
armed forces being brought into the
Oh,
equation, I want to quickly ask, what are your thoughts on the killings that Leah spoke about up north?
up
Um,
north.
oh God, I did send comments on this, I think, I can't remember. I said something about this somewhere. So I might be inconsistent in this because my opinion changes a lot, but Irish sovereignty is obviously the number one priority. I mean, it's been challenged before, and then we got our 6 counties all of a sudden. But, what is the point of defending our sovereignty? Sometimes I ask that, and I don't pretend to know it all. Sometimes I don't get it right, and I want to be honest with you in that this is something I'm unsure about. And recently, I've been more thinking that what is the point of defending sovereignty if it's just going to lead to further divide, and obviously and I don't want that to be taken out of context. I need to be very intentional with what I say, in that I would never advocate, obviously, for Irish borders to be stormed, and every life lost is a wasted respawn. Bless that person. But sovereignty ultimately is useless if you're using it to advocate for the wrong things. If you're using it to advocate for deepening divides between the community of the United Kingdom and Ireland, that sovereignty is not worth anything, because ultimately I felt this way, that you're not using it well. You're taking the points that come from you're taking the points and energy from that situation and just wasting it. And I don't think that's a good use of resources. And rather, I think what group staff have been doing recently, this is my homage to the deep state so I don't get sacked. I think they've been doing pretty well in keeping peace. I say peace, in keeping tensions cool on the administrative
Order.
side.
Keeping
So
order.
keeping order, we'll say, on the administrative side of things, so that ultimately we're not having successive governments weaponize the border tensions and just deepen divisions between our two communities. So thank you, group
Warmonger.
staff, for that. Warmongering, exactly. We love that.
Well, this is a more
You there?
oh, sorry. This is a more personal question for me. It's something I'm more interested in. What are your thoughts on maybe hosting more events for Ireland? Like, I know Lynette Ní Cathain, I think that's how you pronounce it. She held like this garden party, and I found it quite enjoyable. Me and the Shannon, like, all new to Ireland, and I was able to speak with the president, and it was quite a big thing to me. So, do you plan on hosting anything like that in your second term?
What was it? A garden party?
Something of the sorts. It was like she invited a bunch of the Oractus and I assume other people, and they just all came out and she just had a lovely chat with everyone.
Well, I want to start by saying
They don't deserve that.
people people watching on my staffers see people, but I'm just realizing that. But I want to start by saying that members of the Oireachtas unless you're okay, I will be honest. I am biased in that I always give courtesy calls to my friends. I will start with that. I like to give You know how the Queen has that thing where she used to wear clothes to send signals?
Yes.
Well,
With a
my
bag.
thing with the bag and the hat, my
The
thing
ring.
is if I host a courtesy call with you, it means I like you. You're a good person.
I've never had
And
one.
so I've been biased with well, get a job. I've been
Just
quite biased in
I'm a
that
civil servant.
I love giving courtesy calls to people I like, but I have a system where if any member of the Oireachtas writes a letter to me saying I'd love to meet so we can discuss XYZ, if they write a nice little Google Doc out and they PDF and it looks
Doing it now.
nice, and they say, hey, I'd like to meet. You're not even a member of the Oireachtas, sorry, you're a member of the Oireachtas staff. But
I'm Chancellor of Trinity College Dublin.
if they say I'd like to meet for XYZ, I'm always looking for excuses to host members of the Irish population at Oris Nuchtron. I'm not shying away from that, so go ahead. And I would host Oswald at Oris Nuchtron. I would host many people who disagree with me politically at Oris. That's not a problem. It's not an
Prove
issue
it.
for me.
Invite them.
Well, so I'm trying to think of some questions here. I think you can ask some very good questions on RT. I've never been amazing at it. I'm trying to think.
Mr. President, I have a pressing question from the people of Wicklow. They just emailed it in there, all of them, same time. Oral-B, Sensodyne, or Colgate? What is it? What toothpaste are you using?
Well, I don't use. Like I said, I don't use
You don't
Sensodyne.
use
You don't use toothpaste? The president doesn't brush his teeth. The president doesn't brush his teeth.
Cillian,
That's
what are
the...
those sticks they use in Ramadan? The sticks.
I quite like Oral-B. I'm an Oral-B fan, but I'm a long time user of Colgate. I will always defend Colgate. And I think
Well, it's the one you start with, isn't it? You know, you start as a child with Colgate. And that's just
well,
where
I
you
don't know
begin.
about
You have to always
we
go
didn't
back to
use
roots.
we didn't use the full on Colgate. When I was starting off I used it was like a little baby Colgate. It was like
Bubblegum.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, bubble
yeah, 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 yeah.
I don't want to chew up on my bubblegum.
Mine had minions on it.
Oh,
And
I had,
then
I had a minion toothbrush.
and then I moved over to Colgate. So I suppose you can call it the one you start with, but I started with a little bubble gum.
Have you?
I still use Colgate.
Have you experimented with Euthymol toothpaste? It's in a metal tube. It looks very like it's from the pharmacy in the olden days. The chemist.
I haven't. Maybe I should.
You should. It's like really chemically, but you know it's getting the job done. It burns. That hurts.
Well,
Mm.
actually, yeah, there is a brand. My brother got a set of toothpaste for Christmas once, and I can't remember what it was, but it was something fancy, and it was very like teeth whitening, like it was this huge thing. He probably saw it on TikTok, but I was never into that. I just brush my teeth regularly, and that seems to work actually. So.
Well, Cillian,
Yeah.
what are you doing to support our local farmers?
Well, I joined the farmers on a protest up to Leinster House not too long ago, where we spread slurry on the gates of Leinster House and the politicians walking past. And
I remember that, yeah. I still haven't recovered. I still haven't recovered.
All I'll say is I've never seen such a look of shock on our Taoiseach Epic Noah's face. Although most of most of the
Can't say that.
emanating from his body wasn't even from the protest. It just comes out of his mouth.
Oh, sorry, right.
What's your comfort food, Mr. President? What's your comfort food?
I don't really have a comfort food. I just eat what's given to me by Kathy.
Well, Kathy does make great food now. I'll give her that.
I really love. I'm trying so not to curse. I don't want to curse in this one because I want it to be a nice little legacy. I adore ice cream. I'm a big ice cream lover, and there are two things that can take me out of a bad mood. One of them, good weather. Love seeing the sky blue. I mean, is there anything better than that? Sure,
No.
world peace, but what if it's cloudy?
I don't think
What if
so.
it's cloudy that day? I mean, like, and number two, ice cream. Oh my God, pint of Ben and Jerry's? Yes, now.
Oh,
Please,
yes.
And
yes.
they stand for global peace and freeing Palestine.
Yes, I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to sound woke, but it's true.
Oswald would come on here fuming.
No, it's true.
I believe he's just been kicked, so I don't think he will be.
Great.
Come on.
Oh,
Don't be
sorry.
afraid to get controversial.
What?
Oh, Cillian, wait.
Oh, hello.
Favorite
That's my
flavor?
cue. That's my cue. Hello.
Well,
Controversy.
no, you've asked questions I haven't. Favorite
Oh, okay.
flavor of ice cream.
We'll say that again one more time.
Favorite flavor.
Cookie dough.
Basic bitch.
I'm
That is-
sorry. No.
What's
you
yours? You're definitely a mint. You're definitely a
Back
mint.
to you, Jeremy. In this note, my favorite flavor
salted
probably
caramel.
it's probably avocado on sourdough. It's
Do
probably.
you know what? You definitely do that. You're like, look how different I am with my avocado
I like
overnight. And then you eat
pistachio.
it through gritted teeth.
Yeah,
You eat
pistachio.
it through gritted teeth. You're like, I hate this. I hate every minute of this. But I have to eat it.
Yeah,
No, the point.
I like vegan matcha sorbet.
I want Dan to ask questions. Poor Dan.
No, I don't have anything to ask really. I'm bad at these.
Well,
Jeremy, your turn.
Mr. President, is there any position you wish you had pursued or had gone into throughout your career? Because obviously, the president's very much the final chapter, you might say, or it has been for your predecessors.
The last act.
yeah.
Is there anywhere you maybe would have liked to have gone had you had been given the opportunity?
Touching.
That's a great question.
Thank you.
That is actually a very thoughtful question. Thank you, Jeremy. Well, when I was going, I had become Taoiseach at the time,
Mhm.
and my friends, Lynn and C, I would consider them my close friends,
Yeah,
had
yeah.
kind of been ahead of me because they had sort of joined Row Nations before me, so they had a slight advantage, but we were still friends. But it was that awkward moment where I'm Taoiseach and they're kind of ahead of me, and that they're closer to presidency. And I think it was one of them. It was Lynn or C that had that all the good Taoiseachs had another talent in the public service. Like Tom and C, Garda Commissioner, and Lynn had worked for the government. And when that was pointed out to me, I realized, like, oh my God, I never pursued the IDF or the Garda because I took politics very seriously. And unfortunately, that's bad, by the way. You should have a career outside of politics. In 2020, you would have gotten like in trouble from your party leader if you had no job outside of politics. And one time that happened to me multiple times. When I went to Fiji, I didn't want a job in Fiji. Who wants to work in Fiji? That's not even a real country. And Mason, the party leader, made me get a role there, so I became a journalist, and that still didn't count. That's how rigorous the rules were. Journalism doesn't count. You
Yeah,
must own a
yeah.
company. So I said okay. But when that was pointed out to me, I realized I need to do something I love, and that's when I got into the Cillian angle, thank God, with Valorous and
Yeah,
all that. Those
yeah.
were the days. And journalism. And Connor Novak or Lynn, one of those women, were like, you are good at media. And then Connor was like the one to say you should take over RT because Dean was leaving. And Diarmid, actually, funny story, Diarmid wanted it really bad. And we were going to do a coin toss. Dean is a fair person, but I'm not. So Dean was willing to be fair and say, we'll do a coin toss, Diarmid or Cillian. I wasn't letting that slide. I said, no, you need to pick one of us. And it shouldn't be Diarmid because he's going to go to boarding school and he's going to have no time. And yeah, Diarmid was quite bitter over that. But ultimately, I got RT Director General.
Yeah.
I love the job. I still do. But I wish I had more time for the public services. I never did. I joined Garda and IDF. You trained me in Garda once, Jeremy.
Did I?
If you remember that.
Well, I don't.
But yeah, I didn't put much time into it. I wish I had.
Look, I feel a bit like Tommy Tiernan right now when he does his interview show. He's such a great guy, and on such a theme, I suppose. Talking about lessons earlier, I know you maybe have touched on it, but I want to put particular focus on it now. From the lessons you've learned, having been president, having experienced this, even though it's what I would say, very minimal in a more global impact as opposed to, in effect, to your real life, it still has an impact on you, if you know what I mean. What lesson would you like to give the Irish people that is maybe based on what you have learned from doing this for the years that you have done it?
God, there's so much to do. I think. Well, I want to. I have a lot to touch on here. I want to start off with that pay thing. when you discover
Mm.
how much of a superpower it is to be patient and
Yeah.
understanding, just
Yeah.
just having a literal overwhelmingly positive attitude to everything you do. So when someone
Yeah.
DMs you with a problem, you go, "Thanks for bringing this to me." Blah blah blah. It can seem condescending to them maybe when you first started, but it's a superpower because it means nothing
Yeah.
affects you because you have a blanket response to everything, and it's a positive blanket response. So it makes people feel appreciated, and
Yeah.
they feel that you're a comfortable person to approach with problems. So that's a nice thing. I would say use a positive, even if it's fake. You have to manufacture it to fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
You have to
Yes.
manufacture it becomes real. Um, do that, but also people have this. I want to say I don't want to use the word groomed because I hate that word, but they're sort of trained and into this psyche when they enter rural nations of attack ads. When I run a
Mm.
campaign, I tear
Yeah.
other people down, put myself ahead. I have to focus overwhelmingly on grudges and don't talk to this person because of XYZ and ignore that person XYZ.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have a problem with someone, because you're gonna find people out there that don't appreciate you and they're gonna try and walk all over you, they're gonna treat you horribly. You just don't click with some people.
Yeah. I've got a list.
Yeah, probably. I know who you're on. Probably have someone in your head individually. But
I think a lot of people might have the same person in their head, maybe. But
maybe
anyway, continue. Continue.
I won't
Continue.
name names. But the rule number one is just ignore them because remember that positive
Mm.
attitude we talked about.
Yeah.
Just be positive to them.
Yes.
What can they do if you're just overwhelmingly nice to them? That kills them. And
Yeah.
two, you have the wrong attitude. I'm telling you, if you're listening right now, everyone here, unless you've been speaking to me about this before, you should know that you have the wrong attitude about politics. There isn't an overwhelming strategy. Yes, there are things you have to do, like make graphics. That's an important strategy, like make graphics, write a manifesto. But the strategy isn't that deep. It's not that complex. This isn't a real life election. If you just
Mm.
go in with a flawless record, or at least one that you've covered up, and you make a nice manifesto, you release nice graphics, you have half the battle won. But once you
Yeah.
get into those attack ads, once you get into those general chat arguments, you're in a new area and
Sorry,
you've bogged
Cillian,
yourself down.
you actually promoted those to me. You said you need to control the narrative.
Oh,
Um,
for sure. Oh no, if you're running a serious campaign where you want to win time and you have no look, I'm a spin doctor at heart. You know, I didn't want to be the president, but you literally that is a big thing. I hope one day I can sit you down and give you a lecture on how to win an election.
I don't need
But
more of those.
that is you probably don't. You're probably sick to your teeth of it. But that is a big part of it. Controlling the narrative in general chat. Oh my god, those were the days. But anyway, once you get bogged down in those, though, you have a lot of trouble, and you have to. If you're most people aren't able to keep up with that. They're not able to control the narrative. They're not able to release graphics. Neve Clark here was so round of applause for Neve. But not every campaign requires that. You have to be quite good for it, I would say. Just go in, do what Oscar did. Oscar didn't bog himself down in general chat. He defied my rules, believe it or not. Well done, Oscar. He went in, did a good campaign, won. It's that simple. He doesn't treat people awfully. He doesn't hold grudges. He just avoids people he doesn't like. And he still speaks to them politely when he does interact with them.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
when you do see Oscar argue politically, it's the funniest thing ever because he feels bad for feeling angry, but he also feels terribly angry for
Yeah.
feeling angry. It's the funniest thing ever.
I mean, touching upon some of the more serious issues in Ireland, there has been a lot of quote unquote toxicity in the Oireachtas and just in Ireland in general. Do you have any specific view on this? Do you think it's actually happening, or?
Well, it
Well,
is happening.
2023, the winter of 2023, when things were really bad and activity wise,
Mm.
that was when I would say a set of bad faith actors,
Yeah.
just people, every community has them, people who aren't
Mm.
overwhelmingly positive like I tell people to be. That's when they were at their strongest, and 2024 in particular was not a nice year for Ireland. I did not like 2023 late and 2024 early. It was a bad time for Ireland. People were overwhelmingly toxic in general chat. I mean, now I think people forget how far we've come. We are a lot better in 2025. I thought if things stayed the way they did in 2024, I would have told Sequadic to shut Ireland down. and he would have, because things were quite bad, and Lewis will tell you that too. But in 2025, we have come a long. Things are better now, and although you still have certain individuals who will talk down every single idea you have and every imaginative proposal of yours, they do so in a way where they can't be punished. And you might be like, "Oh, that's so annoying. They're avoiding breaking the rules." I love it. I love to see it. They're scared of being timed out or they're scared of being punished. We have to treat each other with dignity again, and it's not happened in a while where people just have a legitimate conversation without ulterior motive. And I want to name someone for this one. There is someone who people don't always like, um, but I will say is amazing at having a genuine, legitimate conversation with, where they don't have, well, they might have ulterior motives, but I don't let them drive the conversation or the narrative, and that is former Taoiseach True Donald. True Donald is a good person if you want to have a legitimate conversation with, and
I can
he
attest to that.
he does not have good politics. In fact, he has the worst politics of most people I've met in this group,
Also true.
maybe Gigum. But you can tell. And by the way, I'm not a proponent. I'm not one of those people. It's like we need to center. We're also extreme, and we all need to like cool the tensions down. No,
Don't
politics
sit
is
on
a
the
serious
fence.
business. It's
You'll
so
get
stupid.
splinters on your bone.
Absolutely. And people who say that you need to cool things down with politics are wrong, and they don't understand politics then, because politics isn't a calm discussion to be had. It is a picket fence. It is a picket line, I should say. It is a protest. It is, shouting across a dispatch box. There are serious issues, so there's going to be passion there. Let's not pretend politics should be
Dispatch
rosy.
box, Trinity College Dublin.
Absolutely, literally. But not all conversations are politics. So it's nice to have someone who, although I disagree with a lot, is willing to have a genuine conversation with, where you hear each other and you discuss it. And that's not even a political conversation. I'm saying, if I go to Trudon and I say my favorite color is blue, people go, "Wow, what a horrible color! Really not nice hues. Really nasty color." And it's funny, but like, it's like, wow, he's actually talking about the color. He's not just going, "Of course you'd like that color. What a stupid color. Oh my god." It's like he's having a genuine conversation, and that's nice.
It's refreshing, I think. I agree with you.
Well, if there was one impact you wanted to make in Ireland, or there's one goal that you strived to achieve no matter what would that be?
Wow.
Omara 2025.
I want to be, and I think I will say I have been. I will say I will be egotistical here, because I take criticism to heart a lot, but I won't compromise on this point. I have been, and I want to always be, a cornerstone for people. And because group staff and maybe politicians and maybe prominent people in the group, they're not always the best people to DM with sensitive information or with personal opinions of yours or personal dilemmas of yours. But I have found that I I enjoy hearing people out and helping them with their personal dilemmas. And that is not this, I can't say the same for every individual. So if I can use the presidency, or if I can use my time in this group or the platform I have for anything, I want to embolden that. I want to use that to my advantage. And I want people to know that. And people have DM'd me before, and I've gone, "That's stupid. That's ridiculous. You are an idiot." But I wouldn't do it in a group chat. I wouldn't do
That
it
was me.
in general chat, and I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it on the broadcast. Well, that's a lie. If you come onto a broadcast and you're giving a bad opinion, you signed up for this. You will get lectured. But I enjoy being that cornerstone and that consolation figure, because ultimately I don't if you DM me tomorrow and you say I murdered someone, I don't DM Lewis. And that's probably why Lewis hates me. I don't tell him everything. And if I did tell him everything, I would expect him to keep it to himself. I don't, you know what I mean? There is a sense of respect there and a sense of confidentiality in what I do.
Right, well, this is a more generic question that I think a lot of people ask, but if there was one thing you could tell people in Ireland, what would that thing be?
Ooh, that's a great one. Tell people in Ireland, like everyone in Ireland?
Maybe I mean, you could give separate, like, ones that are applicable to life, or just ones that are applicable to the community.
Well, one is I'm going to be a hypocrite with this one. I'm telling people this one, but I don't even. But I learned it from Connor Novak, and I think it was a great one. It's one that fascinates me. He was never ashamed of Ronations. He wouldn't hide it, and like the people he's close with on Ronations will say torment them. They're also his real life friends, so you can tell he incorporates his real life friends in what he does on Ronations. And I don't do that. I still am horrified that I still have a Roblox
Same.
account for some reason. Nobody will ever know that I have Discord on my computer. I don't put it on my phone anymore because I unfortunately am bending to the
I'm
knee of
going through
haters.
a change.
I bend to the knee of the haters, but I think
Kemi quote.
Ronations in particular is like you don't have to tell everyone you're in it, but the skills you've developed from it certainly don't hide those. If you can make graphics because of Ronations, you probably have a future job on your hands because of that.
True.
You might be an amateur graphic designer, but you're better than most. Like you have Ronations, whether we like it or not. I don't know if what's her name, Neve knows this, but in educational theory, I can't remember the name of the philosopher, but he had this idea that when you're young, you need a safe space to develop. You need a safe space to develop, free of judgment, free of criticism.
Lynn has talked to me about this before.
And Ronations, thank God, Ronations,
Amen,
at their best, serve as that spot for people who may not necessarily have it. You can't go out and find, for young people, there is no substitute for Ronations. You can do a debating team, you can do Model UN, you can do things like that, but they don't teach you how to run a campaign. They don't teach you about politics. And online spaces can be a place for radicalization. I don't really see that in Ronations. I think people do exchange ideas and they do criticize one another. And at times there's humiliation, but it's in front of an audience that doesn't know you in real life, and you're free to change your opinions. So Ronations has granted you a head start in so many ways. Take advantage of that. Bring it with you. You know, don't hide the skills that you've developed. Don't now spend the rest of your life, you know, working a 9 to 5, and nobody on earth knows that you're actually able to articulate yourself, that you can make graphics, that you have strong opinions on social and economic issues, because you do.
Oh
You're
yes,
all very opinionated people. I hear you all the time.
Aaron said it's Paulo Freire.
Paulo Freire. I think it was. He did have a lot of theories in relation to education, so it would make sense.
Oh.
And it's like it goes with his. Well, I would like if there was any theorist who would have said it, I would hedge my bets on it being Paulo Freire.
I have to look it up now because that's annoying me actually. Well, hold on.
I'm gonna have to buy his book. Sorry.
Lynn probably has it already.
She does. She has so many leadership books and education books. Crazy. Well, yeah, okay, Jake has just said this to me as well. The knowledge I have developed and the skills I've collected, like even in writing a letter, like people don't understand. The young people don't know how to do these things, but Ronations has really like given that head start to so many people. Like even my vocabulary, knowing Jesse has expanded in the derogatory side, but also I speak, and my debating skills, like people ask, oh, why do you know so much about politics? And I'm like, oh, I just research it. When that's not actually the truth.
Me too.
This is how I know. But like, I don't need to look at articles to learn about the Welsh elections because Jesse's just always talking about it. That's how I collect this information. That's how I know Keir Starmer is expected to resign after the 2026 elections when Labour flops and these are the seats in the Senate and in the Scottish Parliament. So there you go.
Oh, is this it? No, that's not it. Anyway, no, you're right in that Relations has given you, and people do. I don't know whether this is like intentional or not. People they come onto Relations and they treat it like it's real life politics in that they develop a circle of advisors, a circle of friends, a circle of resources, and then they then apply that to the jobs they take on. Like it's literally, you wouldn't be able to recreate this or substitute it for an IRL club, because it's not as project based. Like working on a manifesto isn't, you know, going to a club in the evenings, writing a little bit day. You get to log onto your computer and do it, and it's as Conor Novak says, "Hello, little gay people in my laptop." That's what this is. I think we should accept questions from callers. By the way,
we have been. If any callers want to come in, ask any questions. Oh wow, the audience has gone way up all of a sudden.
I got sick of that other interview that's happening on in the general tube chat.
Oh, I don't even know what's happening there.
Well, it's supposed to be a democratic opposition rally, but it's one of the smallest rallies I've seen.
And only 3 people turned up to my green one.
Cillian.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's more of a personal question. What's your plan for the future?
I know.
To give a bit of context while you think about that, it's for me anyway. With the leaving cert and all that, it's been very liminal, having to, think about God, what the fuck am I going to do with? Sorry, excuse me. What the hell am I going to do with my life?
Yeah.
And to, I wonder. I know you're still young, but where are you sat in that regard?
Well, I don't like talking about my future because it feels very egotistical. Well, I'm going to be a CEO by 25, and I'm going to have billion.
No, but where do you want to steer yourself?
I don't know about
what direction? What direction are you going? Or where would you like to go?
I would love to do primary teaching.
Oh, okay.
And that was always the plan ever since I was younger. It would be primary teacher. The problem is, and this is your guys' fault. Since joining Row Nations, I have realized how much politics is important to my life and how much I love politics. So you've really thrown me off course here because you've just handed me politics on a plate and made me love it and adore it. So I can't really stay away from politics now. And
but Cillian, the thing is, teaching is a stepping stone to politics. Everyone loves a teacher. Fucking what's his name? Sir David Amos was a primary school teacher before he became an MP as well.
Norma Foley still is a teacher, and she's still collecting her teacher's pay. So I mean, if you want 2 paychecks, I'm sure you can go do that.
Correcting her homework on the campaign trail, that was adorable. Did you know? Fun fact. You know the handwriting font on Biden's campaign when it says keep the faith and stuff?
Yeah.
That was Jill Biden's handwriting, and they made her write that stuff out and they used it in graphics. Isn't that adorable?
That's nice.
It's a shame.
But I'll tell you, as someone who recently won a number of awards for politics in real life, more unironically, it was a bit surprisingly, to be honest, and someone who doesn't want to pursue it for a multitude of reasons, because I think Irish politics at the moment is kind of it's a circus, really, and it's also not the. I feel I don't know what you might think about it, but I feel it's very trapping. Last year I, for the first time, properly travelled and saw a different country, and just saw a different way of living, and it actually struck me, and I realised I don't want to stay in Ireland for my whole life. Not that I'd ever I love Ireland. I'll never not love it. I love being Irish. I'm very happy and I'm very proud of that. But I do want to see the other parts of the world. I want to see other cultures. It's very important to me now, and I feel like politics somewhat restricts that. You might be you become very attached to your locality, and you become very bogged down in what is sometimes very mundane.
Yeah.
And I think if I were ever to come into politics now, I don't know about yourself, I think I'd steer to MEP or diplomacy or in a diplomat form type thing, as opposed to a TD or councillor or similar. Well, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think you've raised an important point. I've never wanted, so I want to preface my remarks with that. I'm not a traveling person.
Love to travel.
You can call me a coward, I suppose, in that I don't want to. I'd rather just go on a holiday, I suppose, and then that's it for the year. Because we do unfortunately live in an age where things are less adventurous. If you tell someone, there is judgment there, and I'll admit I'm one of the judges where if someone tells you I want to go see the Andes, go look them up. Everything you want to know is on Google.
Google Earth. I've been there many times.
But
in my VR headset.
literally. But the people who want to do that, the people who do want to go to the Andes and get on that flight and see it in person and experience it, they often, and I mean this completely truthfully, will become the more intelligent people because they
Yeah.
have a lived experience with that knowledge.
A
Yeah.
well-rounded
It's not at
person.
their fingertips, and the experience that they get isn't something you can get at your fingertips. And
Yeah.
it's not something. Also, to see a young person want to travel the world, you're often doing that
Yeah.
at your age as well, to be fair, when you're leaving school or in
Mm-hmm.
between college,
Yeah.
because you feel that you've been trapped in your locality for a while. But if you keep that skill and you remain throughout your life someone who wants to travel, then you will be the fun uncle with stories to tell, you know? Um
Funkle.
Also,
Uncle.
Callum asked me, what did Callum ask me? He says it here somewhere.
We're
He said, how do you talk for this long? Is it a learned skill or are you gifted with it? Well,
gay.
I'm sure, speak for yourself, woke.
Honey, don't.
I'm sure some people can learn it. I'm sure some people can learn it. Unfortunately, since being young, I have been told I could talk for Ireland by my mom, which is not a good thing. That it sounds good, but it's actually an insult for those unaware. You could talk for Ireland is you never shut up
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Just
Know it all.
sorry about that.
Big
I have been
head,
told
big forehead, big belly, big
I don't I didn't say that. I just said
feet.
talk for
Eddie
Ireland.
Big
You're
Back.
getting a bit personal.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what you have. Sorry. I'm just
No.
speaking for Kathy here.
Thanks, Kathy. She would say that actually. But no, I am a yapper, and I always apologize for it. Like I don't think people. It's not a. I don't ever consider it a gift. It just means I talk the ear off people. Like, and it's a gift to be listened to. That's a gift. To talk is
Yes.
one thing, but to be listened to, that's
Mm,
another thing.
yeah.
You are more valuable than the you're listening. Um, yeah.
Well,
You are Callie.
I have a question here from a viewer, and I think it's a very good one. What does Cillian think about the fact there will be a time he does his last political speech in a row nation and holds his last office in a row nation? Are you saddened by
Aw.
this fact?
I'm sad and I'm crying.
Well, I was surrounded by a generation of rural politicians like Victoria O'Neill and
And
Conor
then
Nova, all of them. They have this idea, and again, this just makes me feel more detached from them. They were like my closest friends or whatever. They had this idea that you shouldn't be in rural politics forever. There is a shame in being in rural politics forever. Um,
nonsense.
and that the idea like if you ask one of them, especially Sequatic, oh my god, or Lynn, if you ask Lynn, like I said this to Lynn. I remember this is such a peak difference between us. I was like, when she was leaving, I was like, this is horrible. This is so depressing. She was like, you're ridiculous. You are a silly person. There's just I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there's just a complete we're unable. I'm unable to compromise on this, Lynn and in that I love Ronations, and the idea that one day I have to become an adult and go out into the obviously depressing. And if you can't acknowledge that, then I don't understand you, and I don't understand Lynn when she's like, "Oh no, it's stupid. You have to move on." Blah blah. It's okay to be like, well, at least it is for me anyway. It's okay to be like, that's a depressing thought. I might one day give my last speech in a Ronation. I might not know it, or I might. Who knows? That's depressing. But it's an
But
inevitability.
Killian's time will come within 4 years because when he becomes a teacher, he will have to stop communicating with children online over Discord. So
Well, it doesn't stop some people, right, Dave?
True.
the solves monarchy, maybe.
Oh, I wasn't
Oh,
gonna go there. Let's
but
not.
I did.
Let's not. Let's not.
Right.
No,
No
but
further questions, Your Honor. No further questions.
I
I yield. I yield.
but I like the idea that I have like I hate the idea, but like if you time flies, the idea that I started in 2020 and now it's already 2025. Already I'm considering my departure. That is
Yeah.
insane. But
I've tried leaving this. I've tried deleting this all from my phone so many times. Within an hour, I'm back. There's something magnetic that pulls me
yes,
back. I don't know
that's
what it is. It's probably because you're like all as autistic as me or whatever the fuck, and like we all connect on a different level of a shared love. And like, stop! I'm getting emotional.
that has been the case for a long time. Like for as much as you may feel in the moment, I want to get out of here and I want to leave, you do end up opening it up back up. But I
Yeah,
suppose that gets that becomes less the case when you grow older. But no, there is definitely that feeling where you're like, okay, I have to go check again. I have to go check in. It's happened with me before. Although I don't hide it. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like Kira, oh my God, is Kira in the audience? Someone get her in here. Prime example. I have to quit to focus on education next week. Minister for Foreign Affairs. I have to focus on my education.
I've sat in a restaurant and in bars, and I've sat there on my phone, fucking dealing with issues on Discord. It infected my entire life. I was literally in Malta in a bar, and I was sat here dealing with the DMCA because someone has stolen my branding. Like, what the actual fuck?
That's a great one. No,
I enjoyed the piece. I don't know. I've found recently. I've started doing things more. This sounds very narcissistic, but for myself, I've tried to make this as enjoyable for me as possible.
Even then, Jeremy, there's an undeniable feeling of, oh, I want to actually see what the other people are doing, even if I'm doing nothing.
Yeah, no, but there's times when, when I'm out, say with my friends, and I enjoy the piece.
Yeah,
I enjoy not worrying about it. And I think I've become better at just not looking at my phone in general. And like people who know me outside of this and in real life know that I'm horrible at texting. Well, don't ever try, because you will be aired for days, and I'll go. I need to respond to that.
Accidentally as well.
Well, I'll
have read the text. I'll have read the text, but I won't have responded because I'm just never really on.
Well, I'm sorry to have given you such a horrible experience by stage here back in Row Nations. God, you could have just left the stage if you hated it that much.
Yeah, today I feel like I didn't
think you
look
got
at
the
my
wrong
phone.
impression of what I was trying to say.
I know.
I didn't look at Discord for like 6 hours, and when I came back on it, I saw all these notifications from all these group chats.
Yeah.
Cillian's inauguration, please come. And then I just skipped through them. I was like, doesn't matter.
Well, see, the tactic is to become unreliable and hated, so then no one comes to you anymore. No one comes to you anymore, and then you can sit back in your armchair and then suddenly have moments of real genius, and people look at you and go, "Where the hell did this come from?"
Who's this
guy? I think it's worked for me, but I mean, it's up to you.
I go through phases of just leaving every Discord server, being in 4 maximum, and then within a month I'm back in all of them. Like, there is something truly wrong. I've got addiction. I've got an addiction.
I only ever had a 1 month break since 2020, I would say. Actually, no, collectively since 2020, I've had 2 months break. In 2021, when I had like no important jobs, my charger broke, and I never asked Kathy for a new one. I just didn't want to do run. So then I came back and got straight back into the swing of things. And then in 2022, I had no job for like a month, and because I resigned from government and then I had no job but I wasn't really out of Row Nation, so I don't know if that counts. But I had no responsibilities. But since then, I have been in Row Nations ever since, and I feel an advantage in that there's obviously that knowledge of I've seen everything. At least I'm in the loop, like I'm not left out on anything. But I'm telling you, if you leave for that week, if you leave for that month, you have to be caught up on so much.
I know.
You are behind, like, and God forbid, it's harder to get into. I think once you've so much to catch up on.
Yeah.
But I suppose Ireland is different. If you've been here for so long, you can always get back into it. It's like riding a bike. You know where to start.
But I've had.
I'll tell you from I think I've a bit of a different experience. I took quite a long break. I'd say about 5 or 6 months. Probably about 2023, 2024. It's where my memory goes a bit grey because I don't really remember when it happened. But there was various things happening in my personal life, and I decided to do that. So that was from everything.
Sorry, Cillian. Sorry to interrupt, but Erin just sent me a snap and she said, "Cillian's making me cry, stupid cunt." I thought I'd share that with you because this, and I love how Dan has let this go on so long because, like, it's just this is a great dialogue we got here, and really
don't
cute.
worry, I'm crying too. It's nice.
It's okay. We're all
no, I'm already crying. Oh my god.
By the way,
I'm hilariously unemotional with these things, so I'm not crying, unfortunately.
If this was any other Row Nation, the moment you admit you've cried, 6 F slurs immediately. This would have.
No, I haven't actually cried. Don't worry.
Oh, I was literally on. Yeah, I was literally on Canada's election night stage yesterday. I got called an F-slur, like, immediately.
I love that.
Okay!
Can I be honest? I've gotten to the point where I've become a bit too detached from doll politics. Like, if you call somebody F-slur, that's the end of your career in the doll. But as someone who doesn't really care about the doll as much anymore, when I see Oswald in general chat complaining, I just want to join in. Like, it's just the stupidest. It's the stupidest thing sometimes. Like when he's like sometimes it's obviously a bit much. Like, stop hating on everyone's ideas. But when you sit there and sometimes you see someone being nasty and you just think that's really funny. Actually, that's
Yeah.
funny. Like, that's a bit funny.
Let's join in. Let's all band together and bully this
Yeah,
person.
but it
Let's
depends on the
marginalize them.
context. I wouldn't alienate. No, I wouldn't alienate the basis of protected characteristic. But like,
Well,
well, but if
well,
they're like,
being fat isn't protected characteristic,
but
so
if
that
someone's in
counts.
general chat and we're like, it's like, I don't know, like anti-Green Party day. That's all hate on the Greens.
Hey,
You know, a bit of me is like, sure, what the hell? Will you print
Oh,
that? What the
of
hell?
course, I gotta get it.
I want to
I gotta
ask,
get it. Yes.
what is the experience that changed Ireland for you, or changed you as a person in Ireland the most?
Ooh. Unfortunately, sorry to the haters, and sorry to the people who might be underwhelmed by this. It might have been becoming Taoiseach, because once you do get that role, it's like a breakthrough in the barrier. Neve wouldn't know. She was handed it on a silver plate. She's a Nepo baby who
No,
somehow
I
got all this.
was not.
She somehow
I'm
got
gonna
all this
tell my story
talent.
after this.
No, you got all your talent handed to you somehow, and there was no barrier. You just did it.
It's in the genes.
It's in the jeans. You don't fit into a pair of jeans. But like some people
Honey,
genuinely,
I'm sat here right now.
they spend
And proof?
years. Gig'em, God bless Gig'em. I worked hard with Gig'em to try and get him to become Taoiseach, because once it happens, it's a breakthrough. But God bless him, he doesn't help his own case, does he?
No,
Jesus
no.
Christ,
You just like you want to be nice to people, and then some people just make that impossible.
Stop. That's not what I'm saying. We make
That's
it
what I'm
very
saying.
fair point. But when Conor Novak, see, I didn't consider myself good at politics. I just enjoyed it. You know, it's fun. I might not be good at it, but I enjoy it. But Conor Novak, yeah, I mean, he was like, you need to start getting jobs. It was after I became Taoiseach, you need. Actually, no, that I'm a liar. That's not how it started. I got into. Oh my god, this is you're gonna laugh, but this is how your president became president. I got into an argument with Jay Chan on Twitter. Less of an argument, more of like berating a special needs
Well,
person.
DJ Chan.
More of berating someone
Okay.
with a protected characteristic or two. But he like literally, it was just homophobia. So I just decided to go full woke on this guy. And for some reason that impressed the group owner, who is obviously CEO of Woke. Again, this is a horrible story if you're not woke, but I'm sorry. It's how we operate
I'm
here.
shaking right now.
But
I'm quaking in my boots.
But no, but he was like, you will. He tweeted it. I have it bookmarked somewhere. He was like, you will be ooked around the heron one, and I was like, oh, I don't really see that happen. I just thought it was like a fun tweet. I didn't see substance to it. But then he DM'd me and he was like, I think me being Taoiseach made him realize that I'm capable for the role, and he said, start getting jobs now so I can justify your position as president. And I was like, what do you mean by that? He was like, I don't know. And his words, I'm not going to say the slur, but in his words, I told him the difficulties of it. I said, well, I've done every job. I've done it. He said, stop it. You are an F slur, idiot. You can just succeed if you try. And
no, Shadow will ban him from the server. Stop.
And and that did something. For some reason, it worked. I realized maybe life isn't actually that hard. Just push yourself to do things,
Buckle down.
It works out. You know, it does work out. And then he went on a long rant about how he had it so hard, and then he worked hard, and it worked out for him. And I just said, okay, no one really cares.
Yeah.
Pack it up, Unc. Come on. You know.
My experience of things changing was when we imploded the coalition, then Jesse said, okay, I'm quitting now. You're leader. And I had been a TD for one term, and I had just become the leader of the party that was set to win the election. I did not want that. I genuinely begged Jessie. I was like, because she told me like a week before, I'm probably going to resign. I was like, no, I'm not ready. Stay. And she was like, no, you've got this. I did not have it.
You did not have it, but you got lucky, to be fair.
Yeah. And then that just like, it was so hard for me because Jessie was gone. Jessie was like she faded into the darkness.
And she
And
was your. This is gonna
yeah,
sound stupid, but she was your guide in a sense.
she
She
was my
was.
guiding star. She was. That was what I was gonna say. And like I was lost because you were like, I can't help you with this, but you could have helped me. Come on. Fucking bitch. And then all I had was Sequatic, and then I submitted my PFG, and he was like, I'm not gonna say because this is old news, but I like had a full Menti B. I was at my keyboard. I was like,
Yeah,
oh
I know. I got the
my
fucking
God.
ass. Oh, I mean, sorry. I got
I,
the ass end of it.
I was going back and forth between you and C. I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I was like, I can't
I
do
would.
this. Oh,
would.
sorry. Well, it's way past
The
what I said.
cat's out the bag now.
Yeah, you can't stop me. I'm a little kitty and I'm purring. No, but that changed everything. And then I found so much more comfort when I wasn't Taoiseach. Like the moment like every day, I would come home and I'd be like, I don't want to open my phone. Like there is just horribleness waiting for me on the other side. When I open this app and it comes to these chats, I'm probably gonna want to kill myself. And then as soon as I resigned, it felt like the weight I just risen, like I'm floating now. Then I became minister for prisons and I found my groove there. Like I could do whatever and it didn't actually mean much. Like I could do what I wanted and like no one would put me in the media and fucking start a journalist strike about me.
No. No, you're right. Your experience your experience in Ireland has been, I think it's been instrumental
It's been
in that.
rocky.
I hope, I could be wrong. I think sometimes you conceal your true self a lot. But I think that Ireland,
True.
if you play Ireland right, let's presume that Ireland is a game. If you play Ireland right and you submit to the deep state's set of values, which is just be woke, don't say slurs in general chat, and
Just in
you adopt
VCs
that.
only.
Literally, the deep state have like really rigorous rules. Don't use slurs. If you
Canon in VC.
if you if you
Just not
adopt
racist
those,
ones. That's not allowed anywhere.
that's never, there's never an excuse for that.
Show
If you just
racism,
adopt,
red card.
literally, if you just adopt. Now the image is in my head. If you don't know the reference, sure, racism, the red card. It was a labor movement, and
Oh
they
my God.
that picture of what's her name?
I don't know, but I've got it right here. I'm just wait, where is
Oh,
it? Up on
stop.
Canva because I made it for that bureaucracy unpacked thing. Oh,
Stop.
wow.
But listen, let me continue. But Ireland is, because obviously Rome nations are, they should be at the very least, those safe spaces to mold and grow as you explore these interests or whatever. And I
You
say
fuck.
safe spaces because even your most heinous argument don't typically result in a doxing unless you're Bo Warren. But those heinous arguments don't typically
Oh, no,
result
I was about to say it as well, but you know,
in
that's
like
bad.
your doxing or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the worst that happens to you is you get banned from a group or whatever.
Huh.
Unless
Been there.
unless you start meddling in the darker realms of Rome nations, and that's on you. I'm gonna be honest, that's on you. Stay away from those. You know where I'm talking about. But
Yeah, I do.
as if you just adopt what Ireland has given you, I think it can be of huge service to you. And I think you should use and abuse Ireland. Do all the jobs we have here.
I want to be
Get
bound.
get all the get all the knowledge you can out of Ireland. And I promise you, I think it would be beneficial to you. And I'm not asking you to spend 600 hours on Ireland because I don't do that. I would be a hypocrite. Neve didn't do that even at her peak. She spent 700 hours in Ireland.
Double it.
Double it, pass it to the next person. But no,
Being
yeah.
Taoiseach's like a poison chalice. Whoever gets it next, they'll kill themselves by the end.
Anyway,
Well,
they're
no, go ahead.
no, it's fine. It's just gonna be a
No.
nasty comment.
No,
no.
do give the comment. Go ahead.
No,
Okay.
it's the moment.
Well, as much as I hate to say, at some point this is going to need to end, and
Never.
absolutely, it's late.
It is 11:43 p.m.
people-
Do you know where your pussy is?
These people.
you should
These people
you
can
should
pretend.
ask for an interview more. I wish you would have asked earlier, because oh my God, I would have been so happy to. But all good things, they must come to an end, and I suppose that's what makes them so sad. But we've been doing this for like 1 hour and 30 minutes, so
Longer probably.
No, the stream's right here. And if you want to,
Yeah,
want to
shut the fuck
include
up.
before, no, if you want to include before that, yes, probably longer. But I mean,
Do
do
you
you
want to get
have?
us walking out of the studio and driving away?
Hold on,
Yeah,
hold on. We need your closing remarks on all of this because I think you've said some very nice, sentimental things, and I've loved what you said tonight. So, I mean,
Thank
do
you.
you have anything to round it
Aw.
off, close it up?
I just want to say, obviously, first of all, if you are on the Sage channel throughout any of this, thank you for listening. If, as I intend, you are watching this on YouTube, because you need something to listen to while you clean the toilet, well done. Thank you for listening. But if you want to take something away from this, it's that overwhelming positivity I spoke about. It is crazy how well it works in your favor. It makes you look polite. It makes you look professional because for some reason, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but for some reason that's how professionals act in the workspace, right? That politeness, that courteous attitude. But if you just use it overall in a blanket manner, it makes you approachable. It makes people willing to ask you to do things, and that gives you brownie points, right? If people approach you asking for jobs, it helps you. But in terms of my role in all this, I hope anyway, I think I have been, but I hope I can persist in being a cornerstone in that no matter who you are, because I have had, you see me argue a lot in general chat, I doubt that, but I have had those very same people who I have listed in public come to me for assistance. And of course, with absolute certainty and conviction, I was more than willing to provide that to them and be a shelter, be a comfort, be a consolation when they needed it most. Because people have different roles in this community. I know undoubtedly that my role doesn't include closing doors or shutting down barriers. So I hope that I can persist in using it, and I like to think that I have been already.
Well, thank you. I suppose unfortunately that is all we have time for. I mean,
No, get the driving off shot.
yeah, I will. I just want to say, if we can, please do come on again, talk to us, whatever. It would be lovely to have you. So,
Thank
unfortunately,
you.
yes, goodbye. Just a small shake hands here. Okay.
Wait, you have to do the classic
Oh,
shakes hand. Shakes hand.
hold on, worry.
Touch his
I've
bosom.
I've got to drive off now. Well, my assistant is already.
What song do you want to listen to in the car?
Can we please do
Oh.
The Greatest, Lana Del Rey. Oh my god, you just took out the wall.
Yeah, we move mountains. Go this way.
The things you do for the president. Here at Trinity. Who the hell? Oh, that's his alt. Okay.
I know. Right, what song?
The Greatest by Lana Del Rey, please.
Don't know it.
Okay. Wicked, Defying Gravity.
Okay. I hope you're happy in the end. I hope you're
My God.
happy, my friend. I don't know the rest. Tune in. Okay. See you next week, RTE. Long go